We've all had that moment where someone bursts our bubble. What does that mean, really? What happens? It's when we get excited about something, either something real or something that we think can become real, or we hope that will become real, and then someone comes along and rains on your parade, which really means to tell you that it's not real, it's not true, it's not happening, or there's something wrong with it. And a couple of things happen. Well, your excitement gets killed right away, doesn't it? What you were feeling a moment ago is changed and it becomes something else. It may become anger that they told you this, because your happiness is suddenly gone. Although what they told you might actually be in your benefit, might be useful, but you don't know the truth yet. You haven't looked into it for yourself. You've only heard it secondhand. What this illustrates is how quickly our states can change, regardless of the truth. You don't know any different yet, but now you're feeling bad suddenly. And it is, in fact, not about the truth. It's not about anything real. You can use this moment to realize that how you're feeling is completely and only related to what you're thinking. If there's anger, then you're thinking bad things about what someone just did or said. And that thought is optional. What I mean by that is the thought came up, you had no control over it, but you didn't have to believe it or continue thinking it. But we do, and why do we? Because we've mistaken the mind for the person. The person is real, the person is there, what they told you is real and true, as in, they actually told you that. It arose, you heard it, and it's gone. It's not there anymore. They may still be there. And so this is maybe why we confuse people for the mind, the moment for the mind. I'm on a walk and talk right now, something I haven't done in years. You might be hearing birds, voices, traffic. This is where I just walk and spontaneously talk about a subject. Let me know if you like this format. If so, I'll continue doing it. You can leave me a voice message really quickly on this podcast. Yeah, so speaking about your bubble being popped, when we start to realize what our bubble is and what pops it, you find freedom. Freedom from suffering, freedom from pain, freedom from anxiety, stress, freedom from being attached to the world and what goes on in the world. You're not actually attached to the world. It's not what goes on in the world, for the most part, that bothers you. It's what goes on in the mind, and the fact that you don't see this is the real problem. Because if you saw this, it doesn't matter what goes on in the world in terms of your mental emotional experience, in terms of your mental health. What goes on in the world, what people say, what people do, as long as it doesn't physically harm you, doesn't harm you. The harm that we experience with the mental emotional is the mental emotional. It is the mind. It is the stories in the mind that we experience and feel, and not the reality in the room. Now that I've said this, you know that, but you know it intellectually. You don't know it actually, which means to recognize it in your own experience. Perhaps after today, you may start to. And I say start to because we need to recognize it in all contexts, all places, with all people. Because the mind will say, no, it's that person. No, it's this situation. Well, this is the situation or the person where I can't be different. I can't feel different. I can't see differently. And it's not true. There is no worldly place, person, situation that you can't see differently, that you can't feel differently, that you can't act differently. I think this is humanity's biggest challenge and opportunity for freedom. Individuals have it, you have it. And if enough of us realize it and start pointing out the elephant in the room, the fact and the truth of this, then others will see it and realize it. And we'll stop telling the opposite story, the one that things, people, or events make us happy or unhappy. That's the happiness lie. It's not true. But humanity is living it. So we need each and every person to realize it for themselves. And then we'll quit telling ourselves as a collective these unconscious and untrue stories that keep us unconscious. The more we believe these stories, the more we experience them, the more we believe them. That's how it keeps us unconscious. So, it is a vicious cycle until you recognize and realize and break through. And then it's no longer a vicious cycle for you. You may still hear it in others. Everywhere I go, I hear it. People are getting upset over things that aren't real, things that aren't true, things that are only appearing in the mind and not the room. And I don't get upset about them doing it. I know that they're doing it, but they're not doing it on purpose. They don't know that they're doing it. And so that's how and why and where compassion kicks in. Because I remember being like that. And I know it's not their fault. They have inherited this lie that humanity has passed down from generation after generation. When I saw this happening, and I heard it in people in my own community, things that they were saying, that they were believing, and therefore experiencing and feeling mentally, emotionally, I had to write the book, The Happiness Lie. It's what generations have been told that makes you unhappy. If we see the lie, we see the truth, and then you won't be unhappy. And you have many opportunities in your day, to see the truth beyond the mind, to recognize it, to see that, okay, the mind is saying this, but is that real in reality? And the answer might be, I don't know. But if the answer is, I don't know, then the answer is no. Not it could be. Because it could be keeps you in the imaginary mind dreaming. So you need to find out. You need to either know because you see it with your own eyes, not your mind. You hear it with your own hearing, not the mind. You touch it with your own touching, not the mind. And then you know that something is real or true. You're knowing the reality. Until then, you're thinking about the reality and not realizing you're thinking about the reality. Because in the mind, you have all of the 5 senses that you have in reality. In your mind, you can see pictures, see videos, hear sounds, hear words, stories. You can even smell and touch and taste in the mind a lemon, fingernails going down a chalkboard. You can feel sandpaper in your mind, can't you? And humanity is not discerning the difference. They're not recognizing and realizing the difference between what's in the mind and what's in the room. And that's schizophrenia. Humanity is schizophrenic, just on a sliding scale. Some people are more schizophrenic, and some people are less schizophrenic. The people who have realized the difference, who no longer dream the mind as if it's real and true, are no longer schizophrenic. We call them awake. Awake to the reality that is not the mind, but is in the room or in the park, like I am right now. So being awake comes and goes in your life, in your day. Sometimes you're awake and sometimes you're asleep. Sometimes you've completely lost touch with reality and you go off a handle, and that's when we do things we later regret. That's what happens with road rage. So in that sense, we could say that humanity is waking up. We're going through this process on a moment by moment, day by day basis. The question isn't, are you awake? Like you are the chosen one who's been awakened. The question is, are you awake now? Are you discerning to know the difference between what's in the mind and what's in reality? And if you're not, you're dreaming. You're dreaming the mind as if it's real and true. Just like at night when you're dreaming. It really seems like you're doing what's happening, or what's happening is being done to you. And you don't know the reality of your body laying in the bed. You're oblivious to it. So you can't even say that I am dreaming. You can't say that, because to say that, you'd have to be awake, and to be awake, you'd be not dreaming. So if you're saying I'm dreaming, that's part of the dream. Then what do they mean by this great big enlightened idea? So enlightenment means to be enlightened to the truth of something. To now know what you didn't know. So every morning that you wake up out of a dream, you're enlightened. You're enlightened to the reality and to what was the dream. But in the dream state, you don't know of the reality. And in the reality, you don't know of the dream state. There's no reality to it. You have a memory of it. That's it. So if you recognize the difference between what's in the mind and what's in the room, you've been enlightened on that. You're not done yet, though. You've been enlightened to the difference between actively dreaming and being awake, not dreaming. Why do we fall asleep and dream in the first place? Why do we take the mind to be real and true? Why do we take it so seriously? As if it's the reality. As if it's your identity. As if it's the identity of the world and other people. When it's just the mind. And that's exactly the key. Your identity. Because we mistake the mind for ourselves, for others, for the world, that we dream the mind as if it's yourself, others, and the world. So you can see now how important it is to find out who you are, what you are. And most people never question this. They think they know. But what they know is in the mind, not in the room. Because of the mental idea of I am the body, which is in the room, we made the mistake in thinking what I am is the body. The body is what I am. And it's a mistake. And so those who are so-called enlightened have been enlightened to the false and the truth, to the reality of themselves as to who and what they are. And this who and what you are is not a thought about you. It's not a story of you and your past. It's not one about your feared future. It's not one about your relationships with people. It's not about what's bad about you. It's not about what's good about you. All of that is content of the mind. And none of that is what you are. It's a story being projected in the movie theater of the mind. When it's being projected, it's not always being projected. When the mind stops. And it's in those moments that you might notice beauty, love, joy, peace. Just for a fleeting moment even. But you go right back into the mind and you don't understand what happened. You grab it with the mind. Oh, that was so beautiful. That's amazing. This is an amazing park. That's an amazing person. I love them. You may think you've fallen in love with a person or a place or a thing, and you may think you need it. And so then you set about trying to get it, to own it, to grasp it, to hold it, to keep it. And of course, nothing in this relative world stays. It's always changing. You can't hold on to anything. but you think you need to for your happiness, for your peace, for your love, for your joy. And this is a gross mistake, because you can never keep it. And so now you try to. You try to do the impossible, to try to keep that which doesn't stay, because you're confused and you don't know who you are or what the true cause and source of your love and joy is. That arose to you when the mind disappeared. It's in the mind's absence that this is known in your presence. And yet we drive the mind forward nearly 24/7, day in, day out, week after week, month after month, year after year. The story of me being lived as if it's you. And so the reality of you being missed, even though it's here 24/7. You are here 24/7. So if something or somebody bursts your bubble, be grateful. Because it's always an opportunity to realize the true source and cause of your joy. While you don't recognize it when the mind is raging, for better or for worse, it's still here. Always present, just like you. Your joy doesn't come and go. It's the mind that comes and goes. It's the mind that covers up your joy, your love, your peace, temporarily. In this work, we ask you to doubt and question who and what you are, and that might seem scary. Because who you think you are is all you've thought you've ever been, and it's all you think you know, but it isn't. You know so much more. You know it directly, not with the mind, not with a thought. You don't know anything with a thought. Thoughts are known. They're not knowing. They're knowns. Who are you who knows? Yes, your joy doesn't come and go, only the mind does. This truth can't be lost, and discovering it makes your joy unburstable.